This young, exciting roster, you think about a generational player in Caitlin Clark and back-to-back Rookie of the Years with Aaliyah Boston. Kelsey Mitchell, I think, had the best year of her career. Yeah, I spoke with Caitlin last night, and I think just overall excitement. You know, I have been watching Caitlin play since she was an 8th grader when I was coaching at the college round.
With a shocking revelation, Stephanie White and Caitlin Clark recently made headlines in the WNBA, so significant that it might eclipse all of the season's drama. White, the Connecticut Sun's former coach, didn't simply walk away. She essentially told everyone that her former team was a nasty circus. Yes, the criticism she is hurling is genuine, and she is leaving the Sun to join Clark's team. We're discussing a coach who openly acknowledges that her team performed worse than a demolition derby. For me, after playing in the WNBA for 25 years, having been a player in this league, as well as having worked on both sides of it in the coaching and media fields, we've been waiting for this time after all. The Sun's so-called stars, Dijon I. Carrington and Alyssa Thomas are now being criticized for being at the center of this disaster. We never anticipated this spectacle, but Clark and White are here to roast them in front of everyone. And simply enjoy this moment, seize the chance, keep improving this club and franchise, and set ourselves up for success. And if you're still baffled and confused, where in the world did Christie sides go, and why would Stephanie White want to coach the Fever at all? Christie sides, the coach who finally pulled the Fever out of the gutter and into their first postseason since 2016, was abruptly fired. So let's just say you may have been living under a rock for a while. You did hear that she's not in. Despite achieving what appeared to be a miraculous recovery, this choice has caused a complete flurry. Clutching their pearls, half of the fan base calls it unjust and utterly absurd. After years of appearing to be a recurring joke, sides gave this franchise a ray of optimism. The other half, though, it's not like they're hosting a sympathy party. They seek more than a heartwarming return story, viewing this as a daring and essential gamble. Greatness, not mediocrity, is what they crave. What then caused the Fever to strike sides with the axe? Now let's get down to business. Although she did make it to the playoffs, her coaching record wasn't exactly perfect. Every time opponents opted to boost the ante, the Fever appeared powerless because her defensive strategies were as solid as wet tissue paper. Not to mention her player management, we're talking about wide open shots, innumerable holes in the rotation, and defensive lapses that make supporters want to scream into a pillow. As for making in-game adjustments, the rotations were a complete jumble, with bench players being moved out of position like someone pulling names out of a hat, and starters being exhausted at the worst conceivable times. Yes, no. Sides didn't appear to have a fallback strategy in case the other team threw a wrench in the game plan. She certainly gave the Fever some much-needed prominence again, but when you're aiming for the top, you don't settle with mediocre. And now for Stephanie White. The basketball community is currently humming like it's draft day. Why? Since White isn't chosen at random, she is essentially royalty from the Fever. In addition to coaching and playing for the squad, she even guided them to the 2015 WNBA Finals. She is therefore more familiar with this franchise than most others, and her roots go beyond a rivalry that dates back decades. Let's not focus solely on the past, though. White's most recent coaching CV is a highlight reel of all-stars. She achieved an incredible 5.525 record over 2 seasons while playing for the Connecticut Sun, and she even won the 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year award. However, despite all of that dazzling success, not everyone is convinced that White is the panacea. The times have evolved. There are rumors circulating that White's traditional style may not be able to keep up with the WNBA's rapid pace and tactical skill. Will she become a coach mired in the past, or is she prepared to adapt to this unrelenting new pace? It goes beyond the sentimental return home. White's legacy and the Fever's future are both on the line in this high-stakes wager. Additionally, it demonstrates your professionalism. Sports are a challenging industry. Sides, after all, was the coach of a team that overcame a difficult 1-8 start and made it to the championship game. You can't disagree with me that even WNBA luminaries had to take notice of Caitlin Clark's incredibly impactful debut season. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating. She did more than just accumulate assists in 2024. She led the WNBA in them, which is an incredible accomplishment for any player, much less a rookie. You should wait if you found that impressive. She easily placed among the elite after logging several triple-doubles as though they were casual weekend plans. By the end of the season, her being named the 2024 Rookie of the Year felt more like an official coronation than an award. Additionally, the Fever's history books literally bear the name of its coach, Stephanie White. The Fever don't seem to be fooling around with the idea that they need a new voice on the sidelines in order to get to the next level, the championship level. Long before most people could even spell her name, White was a fan of Clark. When White was a Big Ten college game reporter, she was raving about Clark after seeing her perform. She was more than a casual admirer of Clark's skill. She was a pioneer, announcing her amazing vision and remarkable basketball intelligence long before the rest of the world did. The internet virtually went crazy when it was revealed that White, who has excellent coaching skills, would be able to rejoin Clark on the Fever's bench. For good reason, fans are losing it. This is not merely a tale of triumphs and setbacks. It has to do with an almost mystical connection. Speaking of connections, it's difficult to overlook the poetic twist. When the Fever were still establishing themselves, Stephanie White was the first player to don the recognizable number 22 jersey. As time goes on, Caitlin Clark may be the final player to don that number until it is eventually retired. This complete circle moment is so flawless that a Hollywood screenwriter would be envious. The Fever fans are glued to their seats, wondering if this special bond between White and Clark is the key to turning the team from one that only makes appearances in the playoffs to one that is actually vying for a championship. Is it fate, a well-thought-out genius move, or perhaps a combination of the two? The stakes are really high, regardless of what it is. As a player and coach for the Fever, you should be extremely proud of Indiana basketball and the organization. Additionally, the organization's current state and developments are promising. Of course, most firms experience ups and downs. However, the drama behind the scenes is more compelling than a soap opera, so don't get too caught up in the romance of this possible reunion. Rumors circulated that Stephanie White was lurking like a shark ready to bounce once Christie sides received her pink slip. According to reports, she expressed interest in coaching Clark's club right away. Furthermore, this timing isn't coincidental, let's face it. Some were surprised to see White head straight for the Fever after a very successful stint with the Connecticut Sun. Was it just a business decision, or was it influenced by her long-standing respect for Clark? In any case, it's fascinating. The narrative gets more complicated here, though. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows during White's time at the Connecticut Sun. Fans are still talking about the iconic eye poke event. A Sun player made an unsportsmanlike move during a particularly intense game, aiming for Clark with a move as subtle as a sledgehammer. Fans of the Fever anticipated that White would stand up for Clark and perhaps even take some well-earned jabs at the dirty play. However, what did White do? Nothing at all. Because of her deafening silence, critics quickly began to doubt her loyalty. Did she simply not care enough to speak up, or was she attempting to maintain harmony? Silence speaks louder than words in sports, and many people saw White's inaction to be disappointing. Now, did White gain anything from her decision to remain silent? That is debatable. On the one hand, it's possible that she purposefully kept quiet to prevent the drama from getting worse, keep everyone's attention on the goal, disregard the noise, and concentrate on the team. However, it might have harmed her reputation by giving the impression that she was aloof and unwilling to support her players when it counted. She is regarded by some as a cool, strategic leader who doesn't allow feelings control her. Others believe she lost a great chance to demonstrate her willingness to stand up for her team. Fever management's perspective on all of this is a typical case of perception against reality. Without a question, White has considered every possibility as they consider a return to Indiana. Will her unflappable demeanor be the ideal fit for this youthful, gifted squad, or will her past scandals come back to haunt her? Expectations are extremely high because Clark is the focal point. There is no doubt that the Fever is playing for keeps, and White's next move could either spark a fresh discussion or set the tone for a new era.